My entire perspective on chronic pain, from back pain to migraines to fibromyalgia to IBS, has been completely turned on its head. I mean, if you go back to the beginning of my career, the thinking was so clear cut, so structural. The patient had a pain, we looked for a physical cause, a herniated disc, a torn ligament, some inflammation, and for acute injuries, this model works. But for the millions of people with chronic pain, it was a revolving door. Their scans didn't match their symptoms. Their treatments rarely provided lasting relief. I saw so much frustration in my clients. And if I'm honest, in myself, my understanding has totally changed because the science and the research has totally changed. Shalom. My name is Dr. Tovah Goldfein. I'm a doctor of chiropractic and a rehab specialist and a mind-body neuroplastic educator for 40 years. I've had the privilege of helping people overcome chronic pain, TMS, neuroplastic symptoms, and many autoimmune symptoms and conditions. Using these scientific-backed neuroplastic methods, such as pain reprocessing therapy, today we're going to talk about the core concept behind this healing of TMS, tension myoneural syndrome. It's a mind-body diagnosis for real physical pain that has helped millions get their lives back. I'm going to explain the science behind it, why it happens, and what you can do to start your healing and recovery. I think for decades, we've all been conditioned to see the body as a machine, like a car. It's making a weird noise. A part must be broken. We've become incredible medical mechanics. We can fix anything. We have a pill for anything. We're seeing findings on MRIs like bulging disc, and we say, that's the problem. There's the source of your pain. It's the idea that your body is weak and broken and breaking down, or it's age-related. You hear from the well-meaning doctors doing the best they can. Oh, you have the back of an 80-year-old, or you have a degenerative disc disease, or you have spinal stenosis, and you're just going to have to live with it. They're terrifying labels, and they sound so definite. So plausible, right? But that entire theory starts to fall apart when you look a little closer. It's critical to understand because it's the key to unlocks the door out of chronic pain. There are countless studies showing that the majority of people without any pain at all have the so-called abnormalities on their MRIs, bulging disc, herniated disc, spinal stenosis, degenerative disc disease. They're walking around living full lives completely unaware. And then there are people in debilitating pain with perfectly normal, pristine-looking scans. And their suffering is immense. But the old mechanical model has no explanation. Now, I'm not saying I have the answer for every single person on the planet with chronic pain. What I am sharing is what we are seeing is the pattern for the vast majority of cases, a pattern first identified by Dr. John Sarno at New York University. And the research is showing us that in the overwhelming majority of cases, chronic pain is what we call neuroplastic. This means the pain is very real. You are not faking it, but it's being generated by a learned neural pathway in the brain. So it's not your L5 slip disc. It's not your arthritis because you bent over to pick up a pencil. It wasn't that awkward moment that you threw your back out and doomed for life. What's really happening is the brain is creating pain as a distraction. Distraction from what? Distraction from a powerful, threatening, repressed emotion. It's your nervous system's response to an emotional threat coming from your unconscious mind. I want to drive this point home because it's so important. Your brain does not distinguish between a physical threat and an emotional, psychological one. It doesn't know the difference. It just reacts. Deep-seated emotions of rage, anxiety, guilt, shame, sadness often set off the same alarm bells in your nervous system as if a tiger was chasing you in the jungle or there was a fire. Your brain is a primitive one. It's a lizard brain. but its protective mechanisms still act today for all of us. And this protective mechanism keeps you from being overwhelmed by these feelings. And what it does is it creates a physical sensation of pain, or often an autoimmune reaction. It might be a sharp pain in your back. It might be a burning in your feet. It might be a migraine that locks you in a dark room. It uses this arsenal of very physical symptoms to get your attention. It's saying, hey, don't look at this scary emotion over there. Look at this terrible pain in the neck. We can deal with that. An important thing to understand is that this emotional pressure likely wasn't just from a month or this year. For many of us, it's a pattern that goes all the way back to childhood. We see a direct link between certain personality traits and the development of these neuroplastic pain conditions. They're often traits that are praised in society. Being a perfectionist, a goodist who always puts others first, being conscientious and over-responsible. If you grew up in an environment where you felt you had to be perfect to be loved, or you had to suppress your anger to keep the peace, your nervous system learned from a young age to push down these unacceptable feelings. Your brain learned that certain emotions are dangerous. So you became an adult with a nervous system that is primed, ready to smack you down with symptoms to protect you from things it labeled as a threat, a perceived threat. The work of Dr. John Sarno and modern pain science gives us an insight that changes everything. It points to 3 core personality traits that create the fertile ground for TMS, or neuroplastic pain: perfectionism, people-pleasing, and being over-conscientious. When I first learned this, I felt like someone who just read my personal diary out loud. This was me. I could trace it way back to wanting to be perfect. I wanted to play the drums in 4th grade, and they said, oh, you're a girl. I remember being triggered and having a bellyache. The immense pressure I put on myself in childhood. I grew up with a mother who was sick. I wanted to be the perfect doctor, the perfect wife. I was constantly worried about what others thought of me. I felt guilty saying no. I was living in a constant state of self-imposed pressure. And then, bam, I started having my own symptoms. I was living the perfect storm. I was the exact personality type, more often than not, and I developed TMS. And if you're listening right now and thinking, wait a minute, this sounds like me, it's a little too close to home, and your immediate reaction is, oh my God, I have to stop fixing myself. I have to stop being perfect. I'm falling in. Wait, stop. Don't fall into the cycle. Don't put pressure on yourself. Please don't criticize yourself. No judgment here. What got you into this is not what's going to get you out of this. And what it all boils down to is that these traits keep your nervous system in a constant state of high alert. And what drives that high alert is fear. When we break it down, what is perfectionism? It's the fear of not being enough. What is people pleasing? It's the fear of being rejected or abandoned. It's going through your days with this constant low grade hum of telling your nervous system over and over again, you're not enough, things are not okay. So how do we break this high alert habit? Many of us live our lives in this constant stress mode. We feel like we can't relax. We live a fast-paced life. You've heard me say it, and I'll say it again. We're strong, sensitive, conscientious people that get TMS. Responsible adults, taking care of others. The day at work, talking to your boss, at dinner with your family. Workout at the gym can sometimes trigger your nervous system, or what we call hijacking the nervous system, putting you into a fight or flight response. This can bring a fear reaction and start a cycle. Did your boss say something? Did your family trigger you? Did you work out and didn't stretch enough and you have a little muscle spasm and you think, oh my God, I can't go to work tomorrow? Pain fear cycle begins. These are stories I hear from my clients. And what has happened, according to your nervous system, is your brain has registered a potential threat. And you find yourself in a state of fight or flight. And then you're in the cycle. Your nervous system doesn't get a chance to stand down. It's on guard 24/7. It's protecting you, not punishing you. So in sharing some of the examples, you don't have to quit your job or stop going to the gym. You don't have to become a complete new person overnight. You just have to shine a light on some of the habits and thought patterns. You just have to become more aware. This is chemical acceptance. You can't change a pattern if you don't know it. So acceptance and awareness is a key. How are you talking to yourself? Are you bullying yourself? Are you being kind? Are you being patient? So much of this pressure we experience comes from bottling things up. A great tool is journaling. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes before bed. A stream of consciousness of taking the thoughts from your head to the paper. It's neurological. It can be very helpful. And you can see your brain relaxing. You'd be amazed at what comes up when you give yourself permission to be honest and authentic. You're showing your brain that these emotions are not, in fact, dangerous. They're just feelings. They can be felt and they will pass. Same thing with mindfulness or meditation. We can reframe the pain. We can speak a new narrative. When these symptoms appear, instead of spiraling into fear, you can be curious. Hey, take a breath. Take a pause. What am I feeling right now? What's going on at work? What happened last night with my family? Am I putting pressure on myself? Am I feeling angry or worried? Shifting your focus from the physical to the emotional. So I thank you for listening to me. Thank you for joining me today. We talked a lot about psychological habits that create the conditions for pain. Addressing them is the most important step. Sometimes we need a therapist to help us on the way to becoming your own doctor and your own therapist. Feel free to reach out for a free discovery call. Continue watching my weekly TMS RoundTable. Join me on my Facebook page where I help and support many people daily. You'll find the links below. Reach out if I can help in any way. We're here to support you. Thank you for joining again. Have a wonderful day, a blessed day.